getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Good afternoon to you and yours. It is The Bottom Line on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Jeff McGuire filling in for the one and only Choice Woodman, who was just filling in for Rob Bro, who will be filling in for Clint Scott today. So if you're following along with your program today, it is a normal mix of a Friday. Sing alongside the one and only Chris Snead, Ben Portman, across the way, sliding slides, pushing buttons for us, taking care of us as he does on the program. If you want to join any of the conversations we get into, feel free to give us a call on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. You can also send us a message on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at doubletsportsnetwork.com. You can also post it on the 100.7 Score mobile app, which you can download for free wherever your apps are downloaded from. Hey, yo, Sneader.
What's up?
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
You've been a busy boy today. It sounded like as you were walking in. There was a busy day at the office.
Yeah. It's always busy day at the office.
You know, we got to quit that. You and I both need to quit that, of the busy days at the office. Because all that does is make us busy. And sometimes busy doesn't need to happen. Busy can just be relaxed and kick your feet up on occasion, right?
No.
Can we convince the people of that for a while?
No,
Can we try?
Unfortunately, the business of Texas Tech has to be done. And time waits for no one. And that's,
very true.
At the reality of it is, there's going to be a football season in the fall, and if you don't prepare for it, you're going to have a problem. There's softball to deal with right now. There's baseball to deal with right now. You got a lot happening, and there's a lot of things. The business of football and the things that go with it. I think most fans only worry about the things that happen between kickoff and the final whistle. The things that go around that the game itself, the game production, the in-stadium entertainment, the pregame festivities, postgame, the radio broadcasts, all the things that happen. There's so many things that happen in and around a football game that most people don't even realize is, because they just show up and they go to the game, they buy their beverages, they buy their hot dog. But, just the business of making sure the hot dog and a beverage are available to buy at a baseball or football or basketball game is
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Because you got to get all the hot dogs lined up.
Well,
and you got to get the cookers lined up.
And you know what? And sometimes it's a roll of the dice. I can remember the people talking about. You remember the day we played NC State, and they said, "Oh my gosh, we've run out of water."
Right.
You know what? There were pallets and pallets and pallets of water before that game.
Yes.
It was the day of the game. It was unseasonably hot without a cloud in the sky that day, and
you went through an unseasonably.
You went to an ungodly amount of water that day, faster than you thought you would, and it was a different deal. And so even on the best, not to peek behind the curtain, but I'll tell you this. Texas Tech's athletics department does a tremendous job at game operations, and I would place Texas Tech's game operations among the best in the nation, and it's without question. I think Mike Ryan and Steve Maines and Sandy Collins and everybody associated with football game day, basketball game day, baseball, all operations, they do a fantastic job of organization, being ready, coordination, because the number of things to put on a football game. I think people would just jaw drop if they had to understand the number of things.
Think of putting on a wedding 7 times a year.
No. Think of hosting a Super Bowl 7 times a year, and that's what they do. and the teams are different every week.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the thing, and you start thinking about all the things that go into a home football game. The number of things that you don't even consider. Getting the officials to and from the stadium. How do you coordinate the arrival of 7 officials, two replay guys to the stadium in the midst of all the traffic that requires a police escort in and out of the stadium, in the midst of fans leaving, fans arriving, and you've got to coordinate all of that. Traffic control for that from the stadium to their hotel. It is a finely tuned machine, and I think that most people don't understand. And we got off on this because you said, we just
had a busy day.
We talk about that. We're working on things, and the small part of things that I work on, for that is minuscule and compared to some of the things that Tech Athletics does, and Raymar, communications, and Learfield, and the radio partners and the affiliates and everyone that does everything to make sure that people can hear and watch and see Texas Tech football broadcasts. I'm just talking about football, but this is really across all sports.
So what you're saying is it takes a village.
It takes more like
a couple of villages.
City. The city of people that put on a football game that most people don't even notice.
Well, just know that we notice.
Oh, you're supposed to notice. You're part of it.
Yes.
You guys are part of that city.
Yes.
The 50 to 60,000 people that show up for every football game, the thousands behind the scenes that just make sure that the lights are, that LP&L has people on staff in the stadium just to make sure the lights stay on.
That's a good job.
Yeah,
it's an important job.
But that's the coordination level that you have to have just to make sure that the game goes off flawlessly. And, and even with all of that, on Monday morning, Robert Giovanetti still was fielding, there's too much rap music. There's not enough rap music. The music's too loud. The music's too soft. The lights are too rough. There's too much pyrotechnics. Why aren't there far more fireworks? So that's the things that, it's no good deed goes unpunished. And it's a thankless job. And I tip my cap to every person over in athletics that does that job and makes it seamless and does it because they love it. That's a 9-minute, 8-minute deal about.
But there's people out there working hard.
They are people out there working hard,
and there's people making jobs easier for others, and people that could make jobs easier.
Well,
for others.
I'll tell you that there are people that are working hard on this season. There are some people who are working just as hard on the 2026 season. We're
not even there yet.
Yeah, but they're making sure that for the 2026 season, this happens, that happens. Imagine. Remember that last year we started the football season and our stadium was still an active construction zone.
Yes.
And it was for the last 2 years. So on top of all the stuff that we had to do, we had to deal with a construction project going on for 2 of those years. And we ended up with a beautiful stadium, and the finished product is wonderful, but the number of things that have happened and the way it's coordinated, I'm going to stand up and tip my hat again to Mike Ryan and Sandy Collins and Steve Maines and everybody involved with that. Allison Hernandez. So you forget people when you start naming people.
Especially when you're trying to do it off the cuff.
No,
that's why they write the speeches down.
Hey, those people right there, they're not paid enough. Whatever we're paying them is not enough. You could double it still wouldn't be enough.
Chris Snead hanging out with us today, all day long here on The Bottom Line, on 100.7 The Score, 107 The Score.
Wait, what?
Bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is The Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Rolling through the program here on The Bottom Line on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Jeff in for Choice, who is in for Bro, who will be in for Clint today. It is the Seashell game here at Raymar Communications for the show hosts and co-hosts as we are rolling through.
Well, wait a second. I'm Snead, who's in for Josh, who's in for Jamie.
Yes. We're all playing the Seashell game today. It's not 3-card Monty. Because the listeners can still win. Maybe not with us, but they can.
Nice.
I am going to bring this topic to you, Chris.
Uh-oh.
And
you said that very ominously.
I did. Because I am willing to bet you have feelings about said story.
I mean, I love that the Pope is from Chicago, and I love that he went to Villanova. But, I mean, the fact that he posts on Twitter a lot, that does concern me.
Well, that's the thing to do now. That's what all the kids are doing these days.
Is the Pope going to be a Twitter troll?
Can you be the troll of the head of the Catholic Church?
I mean, is the pontiff going to be responding to trolls?
I mean, wouldn't he just say bless you? And then move on? Like, isn't that what he would be able to do? And everybody just goes...
I mean, he's got the ultimate trump card, doesn't he?
He does. The ultimate one.
That is the ultimate trump card. No pun intended.
I'm the Pope. But I bring this up to... I'm going to start this off this way. Define a good teammate.
Good teammate.
Good teammate.
Good teammate does his job.
Mm-hmm.
Good teammate can be counted on. The best teammates, not necessarily the best athletes. Sometimes the best athlete on the team is not the best teammate. And you know what? Best teammate may not be the hardest worker. Just because they're first in and last out doesn't mean they're the best teammate.
It's along the lines of it's not about the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Yeah, it's good. I think Jack Francis is probably the best teammate everyone's got on the basketball team, and that guy's going to see 5 minutes the entire season. But you know what he does? He understands his role, and that's what a good teammate does. Understands their role in the operation. They don't try to do too much. They don't do too little. They do just what they're supposed to do. And if they understand that we can't be successful if I don't do what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, you didn't mention something specific. So
I probably haven't gotten to it, or I've forgotten.
No, it may be coming. Like when this comes up, you'll be like, you might immediately say, "This is not a good teammate," because that was my first thought hearing of said story. Have you heard what's going on with the Boston Red Sox and their designated hitter?
Is it Devers?
Mm-hmm.
What did he do?
So he's been their DH. Why? Because he was their third baseman, and then they signed Alex Bregman in the offseason, and the Red Sox asked him to change positions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider the DH a position?
Yes.
Okay. That puts us into category number one. So he has been asked to change positions, and he has done so begrudgingly, but done so. He's still in the lineup every day. He's still hitting and doing things for the Boston Red Sox. Well, they've come into some more problems, as teams do in a Major League Baseball season. They've got some injuries that they may need him to play first base.
Mm-hmm.
And he has come out and said he is not interested in changing positions again. That he feels like that he has done his part, and that they are going back on what they are asking him to do.
He got a guaranteed contract?
It's a Major League Baseball contract, so my first thought is yes, without looking up his contract. Most of Major League Baseball's contracts are guaranteed in the
Yeah, that's the problem with Major League Baseball. They create these issues because if he was in football and he said, "Yeah, I'm not interested in playing a different position," they said, "Well,
I'm not interested.
We're not interested in you being here anymore."
Yes.
So, this is not a good teammate. This is not a good teammate at all, because a good teammate values his position in the roster. A good teammate understands that the best place for me may not be at the position that I want to play. You know what I want to be? I want to be a white hat in the SEC. But you know what I am? I'm a center judge in the SEC because that's the best place for me to be. How do I maintain a job in the SEC? Go to center judge. And I'm sorry. I mean, I got to understand that, I got to be a good crewmate. And I could sit around and pout about not being a white hat for the last 12 years, or I could work 12 years in the SEC and really enjoy calling the highest level of college football there is. And this is a guy, Rafael Devers, is a guy who obviously doesn't realize there are any higher levels to go play in Major League Baseball than Major League Baseball. I mean, sure, I guess if you want to play third base so bad, you can go to Korea, you go to Japan, you go to AAA, you go to Europe and play in one of those garbage leagues. But if you want to play in the world's best league, you're going to play first base or you're going to be a DH, because they got a guy that's much better than you playing third right now.
Well, it's not about playing third right now.
Playing not the position you want to play. Put it that way.
And this is what he's quoted as saying. I know I'm a ball player, but at the same time, they can't expect me to play every single position out there. In spring training, they talked to me and basically told me to put away my glove. I wasn't going to play another position other than DH. Right now, I don't think it would be an appropriate decision by them to ask me to play another position.
Yeah, if I'm on the Boston Red Sox with him, that guy's going to get some clubhouse justice. I'm serious. That guy's got a tail whooping coming to him, and he's not going to realize where it came from. Actually, probably would. I'd get the biggest, toughest blankety blanker, and we'd corner that dude, and we'd figure that out in a hurry. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if his teammates do figure some of that stuff out.
And there's a difference between being asked to change positions because they brought somebody in and being upset about it, but still going out and doing the job.
Well, here's the thing.
There's
being upset about it, and there's pouting about it to the media.
Yes.
And that's what he's done. And pouting about it to the media makes you look terrible, causes ill will, and it puts a division in the clubhouse because there's guys that believe you or think you're right, and there's guys that think you're wrong, and all of a sudden you've got guys in the clubhouse choosing up sides, and you're driving a wedge to the clubhouse. That's not a good teammate.
The worst part of this is, for me, this could so be a card that he could play the other direction.
100%.
That would gain him so much favor.
Yeah.
And we're not talking...
Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, and be like, I will go out there, I will help the team, and in the off season, guys, you've got a third baseman, you got a first baseman now. I'm not interested in playing.
Here's I tell you what, Rafael, don't go and whine about it in the press. Say, hey, you want me to play first base? Okay, let me get my first baseman and go out there and clang about 6 balls in a row. Guess what you won't do anymore? Play first base. It's like, hey, I tried it. I stunk. Sorry.
And that has happened to many a player trying different positions.
You know, I mean, they turned Scott Hatteberg. You watch Moneyball. They turned Scott Hatteberg into he was so bad at first base, they made him a DH.
Getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
It is the Bottom Line on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Jeff sitting in for Choice Woodman today. Sitting alongside Chris Snead, who's sitting in for Josh Falpo, who would have been sitting in for Jamie Lynn today. And Jamie is off doing Jamie Lynn things with things and stuff and things.
Who's got baseball tonight?
There's a lot going
Baseball
on right now.
prep.
That's what I'm going to say.
I've got baseball before baseball.
You have baseball before baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, Razzle Dazzle, I'm going to assume that this isn't fake. I am going to assume that you are asking to get our opinion on this. And I am happy to give it to you. I am not doing the research on this to know if it is true. I am assuming you are not driving us down the wrong road here.
Wait a second. What do we have here?
Former NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown has posted on social media saying he wants to become a NASCAR driver. This is what old Razzle Dazzle has posted for us. Now, I don't have the social media post.
I've got a.
You got a thing?
I've got a Facebook post here that says he wants to do that. If he wants to be a NASCAR driver, then I want to be a NASCAR driver.
I mean,
I'm not saying he's wrong, but I mean, it's harder than it looks.
Oh yeah,
that is not just get in the car and let's go fast. Woohoo! Yeah, I want to go fast, Daddy. You know, it's not like Ricky Bobby. That is a NASCAR. Unfortunately, is no longer just I got the fastest car and the biggest engine and the highest tail fin. You know, these guys, it is drag and downforce and all kind of stuff that goes with it. It is an aerodynamics thing, and it is everything. It's finely tuned. Everything. I mean, these guys are generally riding a 2-ton rocket around that tri-oval, and it ain't about, you can wreck a car just by getting the air taken out from you, on the front. We're watching where were we at, Texas last week, and Ryan, who was it? I can't remember who it was. The funny thing is, I met him a week before. Actually, I met Bubba Wallace and didn't Ryan Blanton, and he was standing right next to him. Didn't even realize it was him. Ryan Blaney. And I was so fanboying up on Bubba Wallace that I didn't realize that was Ryan Blaney next to him. They're there for Talladega. But these guys, and he's coming down the backstretch, and it gets past, and whoever it was, Ricky Chastain tucks in front of him and takes the air off him, and boom, he just spins out. Mm-hmm. And not much you can do about that. It doesn't matter what you can do.
The Daily Downfords. Daily Downfords is reporting NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown has officially applied for a NASCAR competition license per source. Antonio Brown's official Twitter with the little blue check mark.
Yeah.
I would do this. So now I'm wondering if it was done or not.
But I don't know a whole lot of these sites. This site, I mean, anyone can have a site now.
Yes.
But the site that I'm getting it on, it's Sports Skita.
Yes.
Is that a thing?
And this is why I'm on his official Twitter. Trending NFL legendary wide receiver Antonio Brown posted he would like to start driving racing cars in NASCAR, and he's got the double look emoji and retweeted this post. Then he retweeted somebody else's retweet of the Daily Downfords report. Antonio Brown driving a car at 200 miles per hour would be the best thing to happen to NASCAR in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but you know what? That
is the end of the NASCAR
there's
conversation.
So many restrictor plate races, and these, there are very few races where you're getting wide open at 200 miles an hour anymore because it's just too fast, and that's too much horsepower. I mean, hey, those guys, one thing that they ask their drivers, what do you want, horsepower or gas mileage? And it's hard to do both. So, I mean, those who know NASCAR know that it's, I love a good wide open race. I hate restrictor plate racing because I don't want to see 43 cars riding around together, and that's what you basically get in restrictor plate racing.
Sure, but that makes the crashes better.
Which
is why everybody watches.
I mean, hey, for every race, all you got to do for every NASCAR race is skip the first 3 stages, wait for the last stage, and watch the last 5 laps because you're going to get a green-white checker every week. Every week.
Yeah, old Razadal will post his Twitter that I was just reading. So yes, I was seeing if that was new information, and it was.
Hey, good for Antonio Brown. I mean, I would tell you this. I love NASCAR. I think it would be cool as all get out to do something like that. But I can't do that, and it's 100,000% harder than it looks.
This is how I can tell you that and even show you that it is harder than it looks. Go out to your car right now. Mm-hmm. Disconnect the power steering.
Oh, absolutely.
That's it. That's all I'm just telling you to do. We're not talking about the retuning. We're not talking about changing the tires and dealing with the traction that you get that's completely different in that car. We're not going to talk about being on a 45-degree angle while you're driving.
That is.
We are just getting rid of your power steering.
These guys are driving on things that are 38 to 45-degree angled banking. You're having a hard time just because you can drive your Lambo down I-75, 190 miles an hour, in a straight line, 230 and try doing that on a tri-oval with 45-degree banking, with 43 other guys trying to keep you from doing that. That can all go as fast as you.
Yes.
And by the way, you're drafting. They're running up you. They're bumping you in the back, and because guess what? Your Lambo and that NASCAR have the same body shield. You're both driving around in fiberglass, okay? So,
and Do it for 500 miles.
Yeah. By the way, and guess what? There ain't no bathroom breaks there. So, you know what?
From what I have gathered, from every person I've ever heard talk about race car driving, they sweat an awful lot. That going to the bathroom isn't the issue.
But when you go, you just go in a suit, man.
But it's also you're sweating enough of it out.
It's like
more water needs to go in.
And when you go in the suit,
you are in with the suit.
You go in the suit. I'm talking. I'll go.
Dude needs to spend some time driving a car in a local dirt track first from our resident Aggie.
Yeah, I would think so. I would even go so far as to say, go to your local go-kart track first. Now, I'm not talking about going down to the putt-putt or anything like that. I'm talking about going out there. There's a go-kart track out there between Lubbock and Levelland, and they run go-kart races out there.
Okay.
Those karting, you get those go-karting. Go out there and watch those kids do it. Those 11 and 12-year-old kids do it that are much better drivers than you. And then try to beat those kids first before you decide, I want to go run NASCAR.
Listen, I am not telling him not to go chase his dreams.
I am 1,000% telling you not to do this.
Put in the work.
And
chasing his dream. I have no issue with him chasing his dream. But again, if you want to know what it's like, go turn off the air conditioner in your car. Go in the summer heat and turn off the power steering and drive 500 miles.
And then go put on. If you got a set of work coveralls, go put on 3 of them, and then get inside and get inside your car. And disconnect the power steering, like Jeff said. Yeah. Turn off the AC.
Start there.
Roll the windows down on both sides.
Listen, if I'm turning off the AC, the windows are coming down anyway. Yeah. So that's not really.
But just because the windows down, then put a helmet on.
Hey, I drive a motorcycle. I didn't wear a helmet every time I'm doing that.
I hope so.
Yes, because people's is crazy.
Yeah.
But I put money on Racer 26 driving in NASCAR. He already does it, kind of. And he does.
Yeah,
the short track racing.
Absolutely.
I think it's short track. Is it short track or dirt track? I can't remember which one he does.
Well, I think Racer 26 is dirt track.
Is he dirt track?
He can let us know.
Oh, sure.
If he's listening.
I drove a buddy 77 Caprice SS without power steering in high school. So when I heard from a NASCAR fanatic about 10 years ago that they don't have power steering, my respect for those guys went up several notches.
Yeah, those guys have some strong forearms, man.
And legs, and core, and everything.
Anyone that tells you that a NASCAR driver is not an athlete, it's like, okay.
They're not paying attention.
They're not, yeah. Maybe the guys in the 50s that got through running shine and then went down to the local track and said, we're going to run the same car they're running shine in. They're going to go run around with Billy Joe, and Bubba.
And that's what I said, but you got to put numbers on it. Okay, we'll get the can out and let's paint some numbers on it. That's different. So Antonio Brown, NASCAR driver.
Bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
It is the Bottom Line on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Jeff in for Choice, Chris in for Jamie, and Ben in for Clint, or is Ben in for Ben? I don't know how this normally rolls. I know Ben does the show on occasion, but it's not every day. Can we all just agree that none of us are where we're supposed to be?
I would usually be back in my office. That's not the official
question of the day. So
I'd usually be back in my office.
I would say I'm where I'm supposed to be, just not on a full-time basis like Clint is. Because when I got here, I started on the Bottom Line, moved to Tech Talk, came back to Bottom Line.
Okay. So Ben's where he's supposed to be. And we're supposed to be doing Jamie's question of the day.
Okay.
Time now for Jamie's question of the day on 100.7 The Score. Brought to you by someone not named Jamie and presented by Connecticut of West Texas. Life's hard, your water shouldn't be.
I'm going to parallel this question off of what Jamie asked this morning, guys. So it's a similar type of question, but I'm interested to see what you guys' answer for this is. I want you to look at today's date, being May 9th, 2025. Texas Tech's next national championship team of the major sports will be what? If you want to say football, if you want to say softball, if you want to say track and field.
Okay, so that was my question, was what qualifies for major sports? Because
Big 12 sports.
Are you talking about next one, or are they closest to now?
Next national championship for the team. This is an individual. This isn't a golfer going to win the NCAA title. This is a team title.
I think here's what I think. I think football will get to the playoff this year.
Okay.
And for me, and I don't think that I'm out of school saying that that's the goal for many people around here. To get to the playoff. Do I think that they will advance to
the national championship
game? No, I don't. But you get yourself in the tournament, you get a 1 in 12 chance to get yourself there, which is better than you've ever been. Basketball is probably, I think they're the second closest right now.
Second closest.
Yeah.
Okay, behind who?
I think softball.
Softball. Okay.
And I don't think it's this year.
Okay.
I think softball, and I mean, I'm gonna go ahead. I had a conversation with Coach Glasgow. He is super excited about next year's roster, and that includes Nigeri Kennedy again. By the way, for those keeping score, remember she's only a junior.
Yes, I had that wrong the other day. I thought she was a senior, and she's definitely just a junior.
She's only a junior, and she did all that stuff last year as a sophomore. And
she's doing all this stuff this year
as a junior. And
yes.
She ain't coming out early. And I'm pretty sure, as I understand it, that deal was a multi-year deal. So unless something weird happens, and it always can, I do think they've got her locked up contractually for next year as well. I actually think the next national championship could be softball.
Final answer?
I'm gonna go final answer.
Final answer.
I mean, it's gonna rotate softball, and you know what? I'm gonna modify my answer. Softball, indoor track next year.
Okay.
And then basketball, men's.
Does indoor track finish before men's basketball does next year? I'd have to look at the calendar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to trust you.
Indoor track finishes in the fall.
Okay. Ben.
I mean, that's a solid point as far as indoor track goes. We all know how
spring.
How great West Kitley has been with that group and the national championships they've brought over the years. So hat tip to Coach Kitley, as always.
I mean, there's only one coach around here clinking their rings around.
Clink rings together, right. That is West Kitley.
Clink, 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 clink.
Means you have more than one.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines that softball is probably the closest to finishing a national or winning a national championship, and I can see it just as fast as next year, maybe.
They're not done this year.
They're not done this year. I think they are.
I'm not saying
just,
they're going to, but
just
they're not there. They're not done
I
yet.
think that's a team that's got the pieces. I don't think they have all the pieces. I don't think this team. You saw last year in the Women's College World Series the types of Oklahoma and Texas are running player after player after player. I think there are some holes in the Texas Tech lineup that next year you'll have a year of experience that probably won't be a hole next year. And I think that some of the kids that they're going to bring in to either to plug those holes or to bolster depth in that roster could be. I mean, you got everybody. Your entire rotation's coming back next year, and and as long as the lead dog is Nigeri, and you got a shot.
Yeah, and that's the sole reason why I said softball next year, because of those holes that they have this year. I'm not saying it's not possible, that it's not out of the realm of possibility this season, but it's more likely next year, given the fact your discussion with Coach Glasgow. But then football is next.
Football is next. Okay.
Then probably indoor track, then men's basketball. I think they still need to take one more step as far as adding more size. Yeah, they got Bamboya. Yeah, they got Mariel Kuntalk. But I think they need at least one more post piece to help them out defending the interior.
I'm not sure they're done yet.
Are they ever done? Asking you for a friend. Are they ever done?
I don't think they're ever done, but I think that they've got one more big major ball handling piece and spot up shooter, not just a pure shooter in their crosshairs.
My answer to this question is men's basketball. Because I felt like, and I don't know that I was alone in this, thinking that you were one of the teams that could have won it this year.
Yeah, but go ahead and finish.
It's not you got to the Sweet 16 and lost in the Elite Eight game. It was, this team is good enough to beat anybody else left that's still playing. And as we saw this year, this bracket was chalk.
Yep, and you had the national champions on the ropes in the last 6 minutes of the game.
Just a couple free throws is what got them back into the game. And then Walter Clayton rebounding the ball underneath the basket and dribbling out to the top of the key, drilling one of his first 3-point buckets of the game.
Yeah, one guy goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the last 4 minutes of the game and changed the complexion.
Could have won it this year. And from everything that we have seen what this coaching staff has done, if you had to take a roster, would you want this year's roster or next year's roster? I would want next year's roster.
But here's the thing. I would want this year's roster because I know what I've got with this year's roster. I don't know what I've got with next year's roster. I don't know if those guys are going to gel. We're all expecting them to gel at some point. We expect these guys to be a very talented pile of clay that gets molded into a masterpiece by sometime mid-February, which is the teams that have come in under Beard and now McCaslin that have made their runs have done that.
Part of my optimism for Red Raider basketball goes into what Grant McCaslin has done in his 2 years here. He took over a dumpster fire from everything that happened with Adams on Adams' way out the door and having to get a team to come in. We were just hoping for relevant basketball. You get a year of relevant basketball, then you get back to making the tournament, and then we can get back on track to where we want to be. And what did we get? We got a team that made the tournament. And other than having arguably your worst game in the NCAA tournament in the first round, you had a really good team that year. Not a win championship game, but a really good team.
Yeah.
Then last year it was, okay, cool. We got that. We're going to be moving forward. We'll pick middle of the conference is where we want to land. Where'd Tech finish in basketball? Give you a hint. It was a lot higher than the middle of the conference.
Dos Man Sled.
So I am done underestimating what Grant McCaslin can and cannot do as a
disagree
coach.
with you. But at the same time, you're not going to sneak up on anybody next year either.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about that.
Yeah. I think there was a certain amount of sneaking up on some people last year. We snuck up on a lot of the people in the conference last year. We weren't expected to be the team we were.
Well, a lot of that was the win over Houston.
It is the bottom line on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Bringing you the truth, or something like the truth. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
I never want it to be said on the bottom line, the 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, or the 100.7 The Score mobile app, that I have not given the people what they want. I don't want that said, Chris. I don't want that said, Ben. Chris, will you do me a favor? Will you read the text that you just got from a friend of yours on the Snead line?
Oh, this is actually not on the Snead line. This was on the Treehouse, which is a text thread of the Tech hecklers.
Oh, okay. Will you please read what that text to you? And if you want to divulge who sent it to you.
It's George Watson, who is
you could
George Watson.
Anonymity is a thing. You could have protected him if you chose, and I would have understood.
He gets the media notes for because he's still a media guy because he works over at Texas Tech Communications and Marketing.
He does,
and he sends this note to the Treehouse, and it says, "All you heathens get this right this weekend. Do not call them Central Florida or the Golden Knights." And then he sends out the screenshot of their media package that they send out, and it says who we are. We are the UCF Knights. Please do not refer to us as anything else. Shorten University of Central Florida to UCF, not Central Florida. Also, we are no longer the Golden Knights. Please only call us UCF or Knights on all reference. Thank you. Here is my middle finger. I am going to show you.
We are on TV.
I'm not showing you my middle finger. That is metaphorical.
Okay.
That is, yeah. Come on.
Uniform
I am a radio
program.
professional. Sort of.
Okay. Continue.
Regardless, I am not going to call you UCF. You are Central Florida, home of the Golden Knights. I am so sorry. And if you don't like it, build a bridge and get over it. It's okay. I'm not doing it. Central Florida. Central Florida. I hope all your SIDs are sitting there listening to it right now and just banging out a tersely worded email. Absolutely. You don't have the right to tell me. You are Central Florida. You just got here.
Who should they send that email to?
I don't care. You know what? You know what? Send it to my email, which is chris.snead@www.shuttheblankup. How about that?
See, now I got to go see if this website exists. Because if it does, www.shuttheblankup.com?
Sure.
.org.
It's
your website.
.org.
I need to know what it is.
.net.
.org.
.gov.
If you got that as a government, hang on. .gov. Hang on a minute. This is going to. Oh, that website cannot be reached.
Oh, sorry.
.gov. So let's see if you're an organization.
I'm gonna put that out there as shuttheblankup.org.
Blankup.org. Let's see if that is available. Cannot be reached.
Ah.
Okay, so let's see if you're a commercial entity here. That is also not something that you.
You know
can
what?
do
Those
there.
are all for sale. I think I'm gonna probably get one of those.
New website for Rob Rowe and for Chris Snead to have emails associated with right there.
Yep.
I imagine that
www.shuttheblankup.
Shut the blank up. Yes. Well, I'm glad that we could get you fired up today, Chris.
Yeah, it's okay. I just don't like people telling me what to call you. If you have spent your entire life
Ben over there.
Huh?
Ben says to call him Ben. That's not his first name.
You Benjamin?
Not even close.
Beneker?
It starts with the letter J.
Jabin? Jabin? Jonathan? Jamesman?
But again, you call him Ben.
James Benjamin?
You call him Ben.
I'll tell you off the air there.
Okay. Well, are you afraid of it? I'm George Christopher.
You are George Christopher Snead. Yes.
I showed it to G. Christopher, but I don't tell him when to call me that.
No.
I just signed myself.
Now, you do say that you're not Captain Sneaderoo.
That's different. There's approved nicknames.
And they're saying there's an approved nickname.
No, that's their name. They're saying they're saying our official name is this.
On the nickname,
you don't get to tell me. You're not good enough to tell me.
On the nickname, they said call them the Knights. They're no longer the Golden Knights. That's their nickname.
You just got here to the Big 12. You don't get to tell me what to call you until you win the Big 12 in basketball, baseball, football, softball, hockey, field hockey, tiddlywinks,
rowing,
jacks. I don't care. Until you win the Big 12 in something, you don't get to dictate to anybody who you are, what we call you, your colors, all those things. Remember, you guys you called yourself Space City or something like that. You called ourselves, you're putting Orlando on your uniforms. So do I call you Orlando?
I mean, you could.
Come on, man.
Right,
don't get me started on please refer to us.
I am not the one that got you started.
Gosh,
I am just asking you to read, and you chose to read the text that you got from your boy George.
Please refer to us as UVF. Home of the Knights. No.
So there you go, chat line. I have taken care of you today.
You don't do that.
I have given with the people what they want.
You don't get to do that. You don't get to.
Chris, you get one stat this weekend to improve for the Red Raider baseball
runners
team.
in scoring position.
Runners in
base
scoring
hits,
position.
Base hits with runners in scoring position.
Okay, so
It's
you're
been a
more
bugaboo for this
worried
team.
about the offense than the defense.
There's been a bugaboo
than
for
the
this.
pitching.
If you hit with runners in scoring position, you're going to nullify the defense. Base hits with runners in scoring position score runs, right?
Allegedly.
Well,
I mean, if I was on second base, I'm making it to third with a hit. So
it's okay to pull a trailer with a piano with it. As long as you don't stop to play it.
I don't know that I wouldn't be able to stop and play it. Like, it's the getting it going is the hard part. So it might take 2 to get me home. But then we're scoring 3 because, then they're all carrying me down the rest of the way because I'm in the way. Mm-hmm. That's how that would roll. See, I would go with starting pitching innings pitched. If I could get those guys to go 7, how much would that help your entire weekend?
Here's the thing. Starting pitching hasn't been the disaster and let's just go the last 10 games. It hasn't, and I'm really specifically referring to your last 10 Big 12 starts.
Yes.
It hasn't been the disaster that it was in the first 4 when you couldn't get guys out of the 3rd inning, where you were struggling to get guys through 2, one time through the order, and you're starting to see guys. Tyler Boudreaux's had back-to-back quality starts.
He has.
I mean, it's Zane Petty has been arguably the best pitcher on your roster right now, short of Siebert. So.
But if your starting pitching could go 7,
it would be awesome.
How much better would that make your bullpen?
You know what it does? It lengthens what you can do with Jack Siebert. It gives the ability for Jack Siebert to come back twice.
Yeah.
And
how much better is your bullpen
if Siebert can come back twice and he can finish up a Friday and a Sunday, and you can put yourself in those positions to do that. We've had now back-to-back weekends where Hewer and Siebert have pitched well in the same weekend.
Yes.
That's back-to-back weekends. West Virginia and Arizona, back-to-back weekends where those 2 guys have pitched well in the same weekend.
But how much better would it be if they didn't? If you just had your starters go, if all 3 starters go 7, if I could wave the wand, have them get those 7, and the only way you're making it to 7 is with Tim Tadlock is what? Is getting strikes and getting outs.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the only way that happens. He's not just going to let somebody get out there and get rocked for a starting pitcher. So go out there, control your pitch count, throw first pitch strikes, get these guys grinding in some double plays, getting these guys making some outs for you, getting guys to chase some pitches as you need them to. That's how Tim Tadlock lets a guy go 7. And then you're only having to get 3 innings out of your bullpen each day instead of 6.
Yeah, I agree.
That is a huge advantage that you could have. And we've seen what that looks like here. It's been a while, but we've seen what that looks like here. And when that looked like here, you had a guy named Steven Gingering on staff. You had a guy named Davis Martin on staff. And there have been others since then, but that's what it looked like. And those guys were really good for you. And if you could get that this weekend, then maybe I can start to believe a little.
Okay.
But we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen
in fairness, there are so many things wrong with this team.
There's a lot, yes.
That, pick a thing, and if that goes well for this team, it still may not help. You can probably go 6 for 14 with runs in scoring position this weekend, and then your pitchers give up, a ton.
Yeah, we've seen that too. Bullfighter wants to know: does your boy George come and go? Like maybe a chameleon?
Oh, I was thinking about the Culture Club reference there, but
getting to the point, but taking the scenic route to get there. This is the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Bottom line on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Jeff in for Choice, sitting alongside Chris Snead and Ben Foreman across the way. Sliding sides, pushing buttons for us, as he does on the program. Something happened earlier this week, Chris. I don't know that you've had an opportunity to discuss and possibly even rank.
Mm-hmm.
Not Texas Tech, but the Big 12 gave Brett Yormark a nice new contract. Extended him out to, I believe it was 2030 off the top of my head. Yes, 2030 for his now deal. Where would you rank Yormark in the hierarchy of the Big 12 commissioners?
Oh, clearly, if not in the top 3.
Keep in mind there's only been 5.
I don't know. I would say
there have been 5 dudes that
have
have
held
held the title.
Dan Beebe. He's not the
Chuck Ninus,
Chuck Ninus,
Bob Bowlesby, Stephen J. Hatchell.
Hatchell was first, right?
Hatchell was first.
And and he was kind of the. It was kind of a, melting pot of things, and he
was the Southwest Conference commissioner, and then became the Big 12
commissioner, and it really seemed like that was the fairest time for Tech under the old regime. And then when Dan Beebe took over, it just seemed like, even Chuck Ninus, when Dan Beebe took over, it just seemed like it just slanted to Texas all the time. And I don't know what DeLoss had on Beebe, or what did Beebe owe DeLoss Dodds, but it just seemed like everything seemed to go their way. And it cost us Nebraska, it cost us A&M, it cost us Missouri, it cost us Colorado. And
brought in TCU in West Virginia.
Yeah, and I would put Yormark probably right at the top. He's been the most innovative. He has done the most to position. I think Bowlesby did some things that positioned the conference initially, but I think from a standpoint of moving the conference needle, imagine what he could do if he had the brand power of Texas and Oklahoma with him, and he didn't. He's never really had a chance to do it. Yormark.
Mm-hmm.
Think of what he's done with what he's got to work with. And this is not a slight at us, but his biggest brands are Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Brigham Young, Utah, and TCU, and Kansas in basketball. But and he's really positioned us to keep the Big 12 as a Power 4 conference. And
the Big 12 should be dead.
It should be dead. And he made one strategic move that really changed the trajectory of the Big 12, and really changed the trajectory of college athletics in the first place. Football was when he jumped the line on a television contract renegotiation, and was willing to take a hit on the 2 years that we had remaining, and jump the line and got us the $40 million that we currently enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it the $60 million that the Big Ten and the SEC are getting? No, but you weren't in line to get 40.
No,
42. You were languishing, and you were probably going to be in the 20 to 30 range again. And because you got ahead of the Pac-12, you essentially put the Pac-12 out of business. And that's a strategic move that he made that changed the trajectory for college athletics in the Big 12.
This thought off the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Hatch is also the commissioner of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association,
PBR,
of which I am a longtime member.
That bullfighter?
It is not bullfighter. Says dumpster fire. Guy knows zero about rodeo. That's what he says.
Oh, Hatchell knows zero about rodeo?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I believe that.
Well,
I don't
you don't have to know to be the commissioner of the sport. It's really what these things are. That's really about positioning and brand awareness. You don't have to be a pro rodeo guy. And it's going to sound insulting to dumpster fire, or is he a dumpster fire? He was saying he was a dumpster fire.
He wasn't. That Hatches was a dumpster fire. It's a dumpster fire, not PBR, PRCA.
Okay.
And was commissioner 20 years ago.
Okay. And that's fairly certain. That could be accurate. I also don't know anything about the PRCA.
I'm also not the commissioner of said.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I don't have to be a pro rodeo cowboy to know how to position and market it to the.
True.
That's the, because
But you have to know what you're marketing.
The marketing professionals they're going to bring in are also going to be professional rodeo cowboys. But I would know who to talk to. I would talk to a guy like him,
Yes.
And find out.
And find out, sure.
And I would know how to market, and I would know how to position it, my brand, and I would get the people who do know, like our texter.
As I look through this list, there are, with the 5 people that have held the title of Big 12 commissioner, the one on here that I wish could have had the job longer. And the big knock for him was he did what he was asked to do. He took over the conference after Dan Beebe was let go and was told, right the ship and get the new guy hired. Get us a new guy to take over the conference. And that was Chuck Ninus. And I always felt like I wish he would have taken the job. He didn't want the job. He was a former Big Ten commissioner. I'm thinking off the top of my head. He had a previous title.
Big Ten commissioner.
He was another conference commissioner at one point. Maybe it was Pac-12 or whatever, Pac-8 it was. That he was in charge of a conference before. So he knew how to do it. And knew
Big 8, he was a Big 8 guy.
Big 8 guy.
Yeah.
And he knew how to do it.
He was the interim commissioner at the beginning before Hatchell.
Okay. Well, he also took over after Beebe. He was between Beebe and Bowlesby.
Yeah, he was interim commissioner from 2011 to 2012. Yeah, he was the international. He was not. Okay, so I misspoke here. I just went to his Wikipedia. He was the Big 8 commissioner, the Big 8 from 71 to 80, and then he was the interim of the Big 12 from 11 and 12.
I wish he would have taken the job. Not that I think Bowlesby did a terrible job. I think Bowlesby has his detractors for sure, and made some missteps for things that weren't necessarily his fault.
Bowlesby knew where his bread was buttered.
Yes,
that was a fact. Beebe slanted towards the University of Texas, and that cost the conference
a lot.
Bowlesby knew where his revenue generators were.
Right.
And and so even though he wasn't definitely slanting toward them, he was unconsciously slanting towards them because he knew where his revenue sources were.
I just wish that Ninus would have taken the job. I felt like from the word go, he was the calming influence that you needed at that point. He was a guy that had been around the block, knew how to deal with the egos that were involved specifically at that time. I mean, the ups and downs that happen and the marketing. I wish he would have gotten more time as the job. I really do. That I don't want to say it's a missed opportunity because you can't make somebody take a job they don't want. And he didn't want the job, but he was happy to help the conference get through that time period.
Yeah.
With the understanding that he was not in contention for the job. He was just going to get them to the person that would eventually take over. I agree with you that Yormark, he was handed not enough to make a chicken salad and made a great chicken salad sandwich. Out of what no conference should be able to lose its top 2 bell cows in Oklahoma and Texas to a rival conference and be able to stay alive.
Well, he was dropped into, he parachuted into a building that was on fire.
Yeah.
And not only did he put the fire out, he rebuilt the building and added 6 floors.
And I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. While the Big 12 is not as good as it was 10 years ago with regards to how strong of a conference is, I do feel like it is a better conference now because all 16 teams in your conference are all pulling the same rope the same way.
Absolutely, and the conference is also pulling equally for all 16 teams.
Yes, and it's not, well, the revenue was always shared with the exception of some specific things. The concept for it is teams working together. It's the bottom line, 100.7 Score.
This has been the Bottom Line Podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 100-7thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.